Hello and welcome to 18 WJTS Inform. We're going to be meeting candidates again in this edition of Inform. I'm your host, Bill Potter. Joining us in the studio is Larry Kleeman. Larry is running for State Representative District 74. Larry, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Bill. I'm glad to be here.
Well, we're glad to have you, and I think we start all these interviews off. Tell us about yourself. Who is Larry Kleeman?
Larry Kleeman. I've been a resident of Southern Indiana all my life. I'm actually a fifth generation Hoosier. And I retired in 2015 from Lincoln Hills Development Corporation, which is a community development organization in Tell City that provided services throughout Southern Indiana. Married, have 5 adult children, 10 grandchildren, and 2 great-grandchildren. And family keeps us busy. And I served 11 years on the Tell City Troy Township School Board. And I've been involved in a number of different community activities, including Perry County Habitat for Humanity and other organizations in Southern Indiana. After I retired in 2015, I decided I wanted to continue my public service career. And so I actually ran for office in 2016 for state representative. Was unsuccessful in that adventure, I guess you can call it, and decided after a lot of thought and discussion with my family, decided to run again because there are still some serious issues that I'm concerned about, and I believe I can contribute to the betterment of Southern Indiana.
And that may really be the answer to the next question. Why are you running for office? For that reason?
Well, it is. And I'm particularly concerned about public education, concerned about child protective services. There are a number of issues there. And I'm concerned about jobs, good jobs that pay fair wages and provide fringe benefits, including affordable and accessible health care.
Okay, and before we get into those a little deeper, let's talk about what the district is. You're District 74, and I know a lot of times counties are split up.
Yes. District 74 includes all of Perry County and all of Crawford County. It includes essentially the southern portion of Du Bois County, towns of Holland, Huntingburg, Ferdinand, St. Anthony, Schnellville, Birdseye. It includes part of Spencer County, basically the northeastern portion of Spencer County, including towns of Santa Claus and Dale and Lincoln City. And then part of Orange County, including French Lick and West Baden, and then the southeastern portion of Orange County, which is essentially very rural.
Okay, now let's talk a little bit about the issues, concerns, because that state rep deals with a lot of different things, and maybe if you could pinpoint some of those, or however you'd like to discuss that. But okay. Concerns or issues for the state of Indiana.
Okay, I'll start with public education. I mentioned I do have a background of serving on the Tell City Troy Township School Board for 11 years, so I was able to observe some issues up front and personal, but I'm extremely concerned about the funding of public schools, especially in the rural areas. And there are teacher shortages in this area of the state. I've met with many of the superintendents and talked about the issues, and they're having difficulty recruiting teachers, which was not an issue several years ago. And I just think the funding formula needs to be changed so that rural schools are not faced, those that have declining enrollments are not faced with declining revenue every year. I also believe that Indiana is one of, I think, only 8 states nationally that does not provide textbooks, and I believe the state should step up to the table and provide textbooks where the families do not have to pay rental fees. I know of situations where families that have failed to pay have been taken to small claims court, which throws an additional burden on them, an additional stigma on the child, and so that's something that I would like to see Indiana become one of 43 states providing textbooks instead of one of 8 states that does not provide textbook. Another issue which is of concern to me is our Child Protective Services. I think the system is severely flawed. It is state centralized and operated, and there's a shortage of case managers throughout the state. There's a high turnover of case managers because of the low salaries that are paid and the working conditions. There's a large number of children in foster care that are remaining in foster care a long time. And then we have situations where reports of abuse or neglect are not being properly responded to. And one of the stories I like to tell that prompted me, one of the reasons that prompted me to get back into this race is I read of a young child in southern Indiana that was in foster care. She was 7 years old, and she'd been moved to several different foster homes because of the shortage of foster homes. And she was so traumatized with being moved that when the case manager would come to visit with her and her foster parents, the child would run and hide in the closet for fear of being moved again. And I read that story, and it just really got to me. We should not be living in a state that causes children to fear where they're going to be living, young children. And then the issue of jobs and good jobs. The minimum wage hasn't been increased. I don't know when the last time the minimum wage was increased, but it's $7.25 an hour. Mm-hmm. Now, most companies pay more than that, but in these economic times, with the low unemployment rate that we have, if we're ever going to raise the minimum wage, I think it has to be in these times. And we need to talk more about not only the minimum wage, but a fair wage with fair fringe benefits and accessible, affordable health care. So those are some of the issues that I'm interested in.
Okay. Now, we're going to give you an opportunity to go right to the viewers and tell them why they should be voting for Larry Kleeman for State Representative District 74. I always get those numbers messed up. District 74.
District 74. Bill, I like to quote Robert Kennedy. He was a person that I admired. And he had a quotation that went, "Some men see things as they are and ask why. I dream things that never were and ask why not." And that's a philosophy that I try to live every day. I have the time, I have the talent, and I believe I have the perseverance that I want to represent the people in Southern Indiana. I have no other goal. I'm not. I do not desire to move on to another political office, a higher political office. I've completed my working career at Lincoln Hills Development Corporation, had a very satisfactory career, and now I want to see if I can truly represent the people in Southern Indiana. So I ask for your vote on November the 6th. Early voting begins October the 10th.
All right. Larry, thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you, Bill. Appreciate it.
Our guest has been Larry Kleeman. Larry is running for the office of State Representative District 74, which is roughly southern DuBois County, all of Perry, parts of Spencer, all of Crawford, and part of Orange County.
You got it.
Got it. All
you
right.
got it.
Thank you, Larry, for coming in.
My pleasure.
Thank you for watching WJTS. We are local people watching local people.